What's going on, everyone? So I'm not in my shop today. I want to give you guys a quick tip. You would be so surprised how many people don't bother. They rather drive the nearest pro shop, or they rather pay, $50 to have a bow tech look at their bow to see if something's wrong. All you have to do, guys, is pick up your phone, and it's free. Well, the other day, I was shooting, and I was having some contact issues on my arrow resting. My arrow was hitting my rest just a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why. And I did notice, I'd hit a couple tens, and then I'd have like a awkward arrow, like a little low, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing. And sure enough, guys, I went back through my footage. I saw when at full draw, I got into anchor, I noticed my arrow was at a very weird angle. My knock point was way too high. I don't know, it must have slipped at some point, but it was way too high. I do understand that camera angles, cameras can be deceiving. I went home, threw my bow in a vise, and threw all my levels on. My knocking point was way off, guys. I don't know if I was gonna be able to figure that out, because most of the time I'm either shooting by myself, and I have to drive like an hour and 20 minutes away to the nearest pro shop that is actually decent enough to troubleshoot. Instead of doing that, guys, you would be very surprised how many people don't bother doing this. All right, set up a camera, shoot yourself, don't shoot yourself. Get a shot of yourself while you're drawing your bow back, getting into anchor, and executing your shot process, right? If you've been shooting a long time like myself, and you think you've got it down, you got a good system going, you probably do, but I guarantee if you were to film yourself, there will be at least one thing that you see that you don't really like and that you have to fix. Because at one time, I had changed a D-loop out, and I drew my bow back to test it, and I always shoot a hinge. I like hinge releases, that's just what I use. And I rely on my click to keep my elbow in check. So when I draw my bow back and I'm getting into anchor, I put my elbow back, and when I hear that click, that's when I know my elbow is lined up with everything else. And what I was doing is I was drawing the bow back, and the click was going off too fast. I already knew my settings on this thing were the way I wanted it, because the previous D-loop was perfect, But this was almost draw, click, and then anchor. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And so what I did is I put a camera behind me, and I filmed myself, all right? I drew my bow back, and as I got into anchor, guys, my elbow was a little too far forward, and it was a little bit high. So what I knew I had to do, guys, I tied my D-loop just a little too short. You guys would be amazed if you just add a little bit of length to your D-loop, how much more, wiggle room you'll have with your elbow, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but after I lengthened my D-loop, guys, I drew back, and I actually had more time to get my elbow in place before the click went off. So again, I could have went to a bow shop. They could have charged me, $50 or whatever an hour to look at it, to tune it up, or whatever they thought they needed to do. All he had to do was change my D-loop and tell me to watch my form. It's simple stuff like this, guys, that you got to really pay attention to. And if you're like me and you shoot by yourself most of the time, or you got to travel 100 miles to get to a pro shop, film yourself. Film yourself shooting 10 arrows. Take a couple videos, and that way when you go back through your footage, you'll be able to critique yourself and get every little detail, guys, every little detail. I can't tell you how much my form has improved because I watched my own footage. And honestly, I went back to one of my first videos I made, and I can tell, I can see the difference. My elbows aren't as shrugged up. Well, not that was exaggerating, but I'm a lot more relaxed in my shot process, because I don't look like a robot. You learn so much by just watching yourself shoot. I'm telling you right now. Because you think about it, when you watch these YouTube videos of professional shooters, without even realizing it, you judge them, oh, that's good form. Wow, oh, I don't do that. That's interesting how they do that. Even though everybody is different and is gonna do something that works for them, it's still, it's human nature to critique. And especially if archery is your passion like it is for me, You see somebody shoot a bow, you're gonna be like, oh, that form's awesome, or oh, that form sucks, what are they doing? Same thing, just do it to yourself, guys. Do it to yourself, and I guarantee you will be mind blown about some of the things that you're doing that you're not even realize you're doing. Anyway, guys, get out there, get recording, and who knows, maybe you'll end up starting a YouTube channel, right? Simple, but very effective. I'm sure it's very obvious, but you never know. Some people rather just spend the money or spend the time pulling their hair out of their head, but I hope this helps, guys, and as always, keep shooting and keep it fun.